Welcome back to The Edge, unveiling the Google March 2024 core update. That's right, folks. It's over. Google versus DOJ. The antitrust trial nears a verdict. And cleaning up search, Google's new weapons against spam. You're listening to News from The Edge for the week of May 6, 2024, here on Edge of the Web Radio.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
Good day. Thanks for joining us. I'm Aaron Sparks. So welcome to Edge of the Web Radio. We're covering SEO and digital marketing news each and every week, as we have been doing for the last 12 years. 12 years? 13 years? I think. I've lost track, folks.
So we're on
It's all
season 13, so it's 12 years.
It's 12 years.
Because season 1 was this, yeah.
Yeah, that was 2012.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Okay.
12 years. Because you're on season 13.
How many episodes do we have now?
This is episode 681.
That's a lot of talking.
Yes.
A lot of things to talk about, and a lot of talk about search engine optimization, digital marketing tactics, and the like. So have a look at edgeofthewebradio.com. You can see all the shows, as well as all the interviews that we've conducted over the years. This is the Site Strategics Digital Marketing News Desk of Edge of the Web. And yes, it's a thing, Mordy, just letting you know. We're one of the top SEOs in the Midwest here. I'm very proud of our Site Strategics team here. We're consummate learners, and this is the reason for this show. So we'll talk a little bit later on about what we do here at Site. But joining me this week to get his take on digital marketing is not Mordy Oberstein. He's off reservation. We have Michel Fortin. He's the VP of Growth Marketing at Musora Media, parent company of Drumeo. Michel, how you doing? There, hey, he's wearing a T-shirt as well.
We all wear the swag at the office. Yes, I'm doing great. Thank you very much, Aaron. How about you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we want to get you on board, talk a little bit about AI, just kind of dovetailing the podcasts that are just recently dropping. Our interview with you about 3-4 weeks ago, we were able to get the first episode out last week. Second episode is coming out right now, or would have been actually. If you're listening to this, it's already there, so go jump over and listen to it. But what are some of the key thoughts that we had in that interview, sir?
Well, since Mordy's not on the show today, I thought that you're probably going to use AI to replace me and say, this is AI Mordy or Mordy 2.0.
We could just put an avatar on Michel's face.
We could bring guests on to wear like that green morph suit and with the little like ping pong balls on there.
that must happen at some point in time.
I hope you didn't say, Aaron, that I have to sound more intelligent. I was saying maybe I have to dumb it down, but then again, Mordy's not here to defend himself. So.
Oh, snap. Shots fired. The bar's low, man. So some key thoughts we talked about, Moore's Law, and just the exponential growth of AI, right? And a good deal of key insights along the vein of SEO, AI, and what the users are actually experiencing now and what the users really want to see in search. So the terrain's changing all over the place. We absolutely know that. So check out Michel's podcast, the two segments. I think it was a really good just moment to be able to have a more philosophical perspective onto this than specifically tactical, yeah?
Yeah, and I think when you look at the philosophy of where AI is going and how better it's becoming more intelligent, right? We're going towards an accelerated growth where we're seeing now AI beating human intelligence to the degree that it's correcting itself, it's learning by itself, to the degree that it's going to become part of our lives no matter what. So how do we apply this to SEO? How do we apply this to when people are searching or when people are doing marketing or e-commerce online? There's such a wide-ranging impact of AI that we can't even foresee right now.
Let alone personal concierge apps and the like. Everything's starting to grow towards those destinations. But funny that you say that, because I just came across an article about a test on Claude, the new LLM model, where they actually embedded in a PDF a non sequitur sentence that had no connection to what the 100-page document was. It had something to do with pizza toppings, right? And as it was, and the whole goal was to get Claude's feedback on, okay, where is there a problem in this document? And it came back, isolated the sentence, but also said, get this, that this seems to be something like a joke, or that you're testing me on whether I can actually find this or not. So the LLM was actually speaking to its operators that it believes it was being tested on. Just that's not cognition. That is absolutely not cognition, but it is a system process where it's actually understanding what is being asked of it, right? And setting up parameters to be able to push back or be able to give feedback to the operator. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, there's actually an article that I've read not too long ago. I can't remember if it was a couple of days ago. It was on the fact that prompt engineering is dying. It's literally AI is becoming better at even creating the prompts that you need in order to query AI. So AI is actually querying AI. It's becoming its own little self-sustaining environment, so to speak. So we're taking humans out of the equation completely.
Yeah, and another article I just saw that we're not even talking about today is that I came across an article where AI is teaching humans how to program robots. So if that's not Judgment Day, I have no idea what
Skynet.
Skynet is right there. Absolutely. I had to give it to Jacob.
Nice.
Oh, we've got more. Trust me in AI news. But our first article is coming from Search Engine Land. Oh, damn it. I can't get rid of Mordy. He's there. First bloody article. All right. 3 key observations about the Google March 2024 core update. We've been told that it's finally been completed. Actually, it was completed about a week and some change ago at this point in time. So Morty dove into some analysis of what he's really seeing here. And analyzing a core update is incredibly difficult right after the changes here. But some key takeaways from the March core update, as we understand it right now, it was a major algorithm change to be able to reduce low quality, irrelevant, and unoriginal content, and resulted in about 40% of websites possibly being de-indexed or removed from search results. And the targeted sites are lacking in EAT, expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And there's penalized content generated by AI, okay? There's also more, folks, is that as this, we were also told, right, that we've got, well, what was it, on May 5th, well, I'll talk about, I got another article to talk about that. Anyway, point being is, what were your thoughts about Morty's article and the changes that he was witnessing through that?
The one thing that I not really, well, it's funny because when I read the article, he was kind of saying, it's a big change,
Right.
but not so much. There's a lot of big stuff, but not so much. And I was like, that's typical Morty Horvastein right there. But I think it is interesting because the fact that it is one of the longest rolling core updates that we've ever had in history.
Right.
And so because it has been such a long process, it's going to be long to really assess the damage, damage and or benefits, or whatever you want to call it, or how you look at it, that it's going to take some time to really understand this. And I also think that, you were just alluding to something we're going to be talking about soon, which is some manual updates or manual penalties that will be doling out starting on May 5th.
Right.
And we're going to see a lot of that stuff as a result of things that we have found through the core updates, and we'll be piecing stuff together. We'll say, this is, this is equal to this. So it's going to take some time. So I do agree with Morty in the sense that it's hard, and it's probably harder this time around because a lot of it is behind the scenes. And not to jump the gun, but in the second part, or I think it's the second part of his 3 observations, where he talks about a lot of the stuff that has been changed is below the top results. And that's where a lot of the cleanup is happening.
Right.
And that's true. I think that's going to become a much more apparent, where we're going to see a lot of that. I think better competition for top results, where we're going to have higher quality over time. I mean, Google has been slapped on the wrist a lot of times by people saying they're not really getting what they want from it. And so this is kind of pushing things along to get better at just getting better quality results.
Absolutely. He saw a huge movement at the bottom half of the SERP across the web. He studied 300 SERPs and ranking patterns on the top 20 queries, or results, I should say, over the course of the entire update. So he's seen a massive shift of top 20 ranking URLs. So if you look at the percentage of URLs ranking top 20 post-update, prior to the update, didn't crack. He says the top 20, you'll see a disparity between the March 2024 update and the November 2023 core update. Sizable shift in previous 20 plus rankings. So it's not just the thermal layer at the top. There's a huge refiling that's happening in rankings 20 and plus. So have a look there. His third observation is that the aggregate data only tells one part of this story. He says with the update in particular, you just can't sweep across the web and look at the top level data. It's in a weird way too normalized. It's very similar to whenever you're looking at GSC data and you don't see the changes. You start pulling back layers and you start seeing massive changes whenever there are core updates. So in this respect, you just can't look at these aggregate numbers. You have to have a system of tackling the type of changes that has been looking for. And as soon as you start looking at that, then you can see some volatility there with this update in particular. This is not going to be a light impact. In fact, this is, as we're listening to the chatter, this is probably going to be one of the most sizable things that search has had done to it in the Google search for a very long time.
Exactly. If you look at the third option, the third observation that Mordy made, which is you can't look at the aggregate data, that's where you're going to have a lot of people stumbling on discoveries as we go along. They say, "Oh, this is interesting," because they're out there looking at more focused data or more layers of the onion being peeled away, so to speak, in that sense, where we're going to see a lot more of those changes and say, we have a better understanding of what has actually went on in the core update. But until then, it's going to be hard to do. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of things that we'll discover that will be like nonsensical or things that we expected it to be, but there's going to be a lot of surprises, I think, coming along.
You know, he had a last point on this article. He had a personal take. There's something different about this update, he says. If you combine it all, the extra bite the update had in negatively impacting sites, the extra rank volatility seen at the 6th through 10th rank positions paints a picture of what is very unique update. So this, combined with what we're about to talk about, is a sizable factor, and we got to be able to pay attention to not just the surface perspective of organic traffic, but what has happened, what has been taken away, what has been given to sites. And large sites are obviously going to be looking at it a little bit differently than smaller sites. But before anything else, we want to look a little bit differently at what's happening right now on the DOJ trial. The Department of Justice is making closing arguments in the Google antitrust trial. Here's the search engine land article from Anu Adegbola. The stage is set for a monumental court decision that could shake up the search industry or the results in the status quo. So government is presenting their closing arguments this week and tomorrow in the government's landmark antitrust case against the company that owns the global search monopoly, as we've talked about in multiple shows here. So it's been 10 weeks. It's been a high-stakes legal battle, and it probed the business's practices last fall. So the most important thing to be able to look at here is what the DOJ is really making an argument about. It claims that Google's monopoly power has harmed customers through higher prices, okay, Google's exclusivity deals and higher prices whenever it comes down to Google ad space as well. There were some insights into Google putting the thumb on the scales on Google AdWords, the competitive auction market. Google's exclusivity deals have been seen as anti-competitive and limiting competition. And the judge's ruling will absolutely be a pivotal moment in the ongoing scrutiny of big tech companies. So it's really about this judge at this point in time. And there are some predictions that if it falls to the side of the DOJ, this could very well be a breakup of the company. And I say this with a broad brush. We have no idea what's about to go down here. But with big tech always on the under the scrutiny, but also Google being scrutinized by the DOJ with all the other competitive factors that they're having to deal with, especially OpenAI. Man, they have to be sweating bullets right now, right, Michel?
I have, absolutely. If you look at also some recent stats that showed, and I know that Stat Counter is currently reassessing their April stats, but they've showed that Google's losing ground in the search space.
Yeah,
exactly. You've got tools like Perplexity, and you've got ChatGPT, which apparently is coming out with their own search. I think what's happening is Google, regardless of what's going to happen with the DOJ, it's going to be forced to reinvent itself to some degree. Of course, I'm not a Google, and I'm not Barry Schwartz, but I do know that there is a lot of stuff that will have to happen as a result of this, regardless of which way it's going,
Right.
because we're seeing a lot of people being frustrated with Google not getting the results they want. And you've got SGE, which is kind of lingering, causing people to think twice about using the tool, at least from the perspective of getting some more deeper answers. And you've got a lot of stuff that is the paid ads industry, Bing and all that. If you actually look at the article that this article is pointing to, talking about every one of the arguments made,
Right.
Bing, DuckDuckGo, and whatnot. It's amazing how Google has a lot against it. So I feel that there's a lot of things that will happen regardless of which way it's going to go.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be status quo. We understand something is going to be changing for this long of a lawsuit, plus all the other lawsuits that have been poised towards Google. And I mean, the attorney generals from, I think, 23 different states filing lawsuits around monopolistic behavior. It's huge what they are experiencing right now. So something absolutely will change. Meanwhile, things are changing in search all the time. But before anything else, just want to let you know about our title sponsor, Site Strategics. That's our firm. But hey, instead of talking about marketing, I want to talk to you about a special tactic that we actually have. Okay, we've developed a SME, a subject matter interview process that's backed up by years of interview techniques, as well as SEO research and buyer's journey persona definition. You can actually bring us in as an SEO SWAT team, extracting some incredible knowledge and voice and passion from your clients' subject matter experts. So we actually have conducted this as productized this as a solution for your marketing team. So if you're interested in what we can do for you, we can actually conduct these type of interviews, as well as process and curate everything that comes from these sessions into video content, audio content, transcripts, blog posts, structural content, social media. There's so many different things that we can perform and produce for you with this untapped knowledge from your subject matter experts. So if you're interested in talking to us about that, finding out a little bit more, just simply go over to edgeofthewebradio.com/site, SITE, and contact us, and we'll be happy to talk about some of the successes that we've had with this methodology. All right. It's all about helpful content, right? Making sure that you're getting helpful content into the play. Well, here's another article from Elizabeth Tucker, and this is the Google blog. All right. So I want to make sure that we hear from the horse's mouth, so to speak, right? New ways we're tackling spammy, low-quality content on search. This was published May 5th. We all heard rumors, sizable rumors, and even declarations coming up to the weekend that Google was going through a manual penalty, and it will jettison basically parasite SEO, okay? They're enhancing search, and they're focusing on reducing low-quality, unoriginal results. They began tuning in 2022, but what they're doing right now is they're removing sites and indexing of subdomains that have been kind of positioned to be able to be bait and switch type of content and coupon content and things that were non sequitur to the prime domain. Forbes had an entire coupon section that just got removed and blocked by themselves. Actually, they removed it, so they were anticipating this particular penalty, but there are a number of domains that we're seeing just getting de-indexed completely. Walmart has a number of coupon sections that are actually getting pulled. They're reducing low quality, unoriginal results, and they're also trying to keep more spam out of the results. They're looking at scaled content abuse. They had a long policy against the automation to generate low quality and unoriginal content at scale. thusly AI. With the goal of manipulating search rankings, the policy was originally designed to address instances of content being generated at scale where it's clear that the automation was involved. And on top of it, the main thing is site reputation abuse. Websites that have their own great content may also host low-quality content provided by third parties with the goal of capitalizing on the host site's strong domain, like Forbes, like Walmart. For example, a third party may publish payday loan reviews on a trusted educational website to gain ranking benefits from the site. Okay, so that has to be approved. It's not a spam attack. These are agreements between these domains to be able to publish and capitalize on those domains, and that's the preeminent issue that's happening right now. This is a serious thing, and Lily Ray, Glenn Gabe are hovering right over it, as well as Marie Haynes. They're sharing what they're seeing, and it's pretty darn dramatic. Michelle, what do you think about that?
I kind of find it funny whenever they said unoriginal content, because for even parasite SEO and content that's done for the sake of just SEO
Right.
aside, a lot of it is not original content anyways. A lot of it is kind of replicated, and you're giving people the choice of like which one is going to provide me with the best answer. But that aside, I like the fact that they've mentioned there is the scale content abuse, the site reputation abuse, and I think it was the third one, the expired domain abuse. All of those things for a long time. If you remember back in the 2000s, there was such a thing called AdSense arbitrage. If you remember, there was people creating websites and then putting a whole bunch of ads on them, and then either getting ads or doing SEO in order to get people to make money off of those sites. And it was just pure garbage sites. It was just created for the sake of having our ads shown up, and they would get money just for having those ads show up. And I think this is kind of the gray hat version of this, maybe you want to call it that. And it's about time that we've gotten rid of a lot of that stuff. And that's probably what Mordy was mentioning. A lot of those top results are there by choice or by quality, but you've got a lot of the bottom stuff that is just a lot of the spammy stuff that's been now finally removed. So hopefully we're going to see some better quality content. And I say this in air quotes because, it's Google.
It is, and it's some deep cuts that are kind of SEO influencers are reporting right now. I'm just looking through some of Lily Ray's recent comments, and it really has to do with the parasite SEO, the reputation factors out there, Walmart coupon code, right? The rankings that were out there, that was a mess of different domains out there, and all of those are being ripped down. So we're right now in the midst of a hurricane against spam and monetization content that was not helpful. It was literally out there just clogging the arteries of useful information for consumers. They're cleaning house right now in that space. So if you, as a listener to the show, if you have come across this, if you have anything from a domain standpoint that you have out there that you think may be an issue, highly recommend some introspection and looking at your content and the entire site, how valuable that content is. And this is really primarily for large sites and large farms of content, right? We're not talking about small mom and pop sites that obviously don't do this. So they'll pretty much go unscathed. But this is a sizable undertaking that Google's doing right now.
You know who you are. I'm not familiar with AdSense arbitrage. Is that literally like for every $100 I spend to bring traffic in, I put enough ads on my site to make $110 from that traffic? And then I just scale it up.
Yeah.
God, that's sneaky.
No, it's terrible. It was terrible. And this is also in tandem with link farms. So it was manufactured authority of content.
Right.
You had thousands of pages on these domains, all doing the triangular linking. I'll link to you if you link to this one, and you link back over. That one links back over to me. So this was a constant build of authority. And you saw huge money being made by all this content at scale.
Well, and if you can continually scale it up, for every 100 I spend, I make 110 unlimited. Why wouldn't you?
Right. I'm just looking at some of the social media that's happening right now. May 6th, yesterday, Danny Sullivan, Google's search liaison, pinged Barry Schwartz directly, said, hey, I don't know if you're still online, Barry, but we're only doing manual actions right now. The algorithmic component will indeed come, as we've said, but that's not live yet. So Barry posted a post out there, and Google Search Liaison responded. So this is just the manual side of things. There's going to be an algorithmic rollout of this soon, and that's going to be the challenge there. Is that going to boil down a lot of sites that don't deserve this, Okay. That said, let's shift gear to some AI news. Well, that's kind of concerning there, but hey, we're watching and we'll be reporting. And check over the newsletter, because we are bringing additional content through the week into that newsletter as well. So from Search Engine Roundtable, okay, Google's SGE AI answers now cost 80% less to generate. So check this out. This is an article from Barry Schwartz over at Search Engine Roundtable. He's been sharing information about the cost of generating the SGE answers, right? And that was one of the number one factors outside of the monetization that they're still challenged with, of how to actually deploy this at scale. The AI overviews now, AI answers, are costly to run, says he, but as expected, Google was able to reduce the cost to generate these answers. The Information wrote, an article that's pretty trustworthy in this space, wrote that Google was able to reduce the cost of these AI-generated responses in search by 80%. Google's Sundar Pichai mentioned this as well in an earnings call. Google said on the call, for example, since introducing SGE about a year ago, machine costs associated with SGE responses have decreased 80% from when first introduced in labs, driven by hardware, engineering, and technical breakthroughs. Not only are they're reducing the footprint of the costs, but they're also pulling back the generation of this. In fact, one of the key things is that I'm not generating these answers unless they decide it's really valuable. So, yeah, you're going to save money if you decide to only release 10% of the answers that you're generating. So it's a little bit disingenuous there, but they still are engineering down to a cost factor that is going to be tenable for them to be able to roll out SGE. However, the answers are still getting wrong. We'll talk about that in a second. Michel, what do you think about the SGE cost reduction here?
I wonder, what is the reduction in cost? Is it in the serving up the SGE responses, or
Right.
is it in the learning process that
that's
it
a
has
really
to
good
go
point.
through?
Yeah.
Because, the funniest thing is, there is a lot more energy being expended in crawling, training the LLMs on the information that it now is going to serve up.
Right.
It's no different. Serving up those answers is no different than your typical software or your typical Google search result, so to speak. But I guess it would be in the process of learning and training and giving it more information in order to get better results.
Yeah.
I find it interesting. The first comment on that article said, "Well, when you fire everybody, no wonder you are saving 80%."
There's that too. They did go through a bit of a wave of layoffs here recently.
I gotta think I've seen it before, where sometimes I search and I get it. Sometimes I search and it says, "Do you want the generative answer?"
Right.
And I can either click to generate it at that point or not.
And that's saving costs, right?
But I also wonder how much of it is cached.
Right.
Because
exactly.
you have to think initially, everything has to be generated.
Right.
But then based upon either how many people read it and either accept it, and they've got to be tracking that, knowing like this answer seems to be accepted by most people.
Mm-hmm.
This answer is not. People are digging deeper and not accepting it, or they're looking
Right, so
further.
punt that answer.
So
get rid of
generate
that.
again, generate again, generate again. Okay, this one seems to be getting accepted.
Right.
Let's start caching it and showing it to everybody. I bet you that's part of it too.
I'm sure
and that's the same with crawling. We
Right.
crawl until we find an answer that people like, then we cache it for a while and just show that and save energy until we decide to crawl again. I bet you
That's smart. And again, to Michel's point with the training itself, if there's parameters being created to be able to fence in, don't train on this content, train on this type of content for these type of answers, as opposed to pulling everything together. So there's maturation in the industry, and obviously it's going to be dropping down the cost. And that cost going down is going to be that gateway for actually seeing generative AI across the board in search, which is...
And if you look at 80% of what too, like 80% of the smaller cost of producing the results, or 80% of the larger cost of crawling information, or 80% of what else, 80% may be just small dollars. This is just, during the earnings call, mentioned during the earnings call, but I'm not Google, and I don't want to predict what Google is trying to do here. But at the same time, I'm realizing that there's probably a lot more cost in making the machines run, the equipment run to train this stuff. It's no different than mining for crypto. How if people are running these massive mining operations,
Yep.
they're using so much energy and using so much equipment. And then if you look at NVIDIA and all the accelerated technology is happening in that space,
Right.
it tells you that it probably is more on that side of things.
No,
I
agree.
believe.
I agree. That kind of harkens back to our podcast as well. Just talking about Moore's law, there's going to be exponential growth as well as reduction of cost, and
Right.
those are symbiotic right there.
I'll tell you a little story. I remember reading or listening to an economist in the 80s who made a presentation about when people were thinking in the 70s. Remember the big gasoline shortage in
Oh,
the
yeah.
70s? And people were thinking that we're going to be running out of petroleum, we're going to be running out of gas, and it's going to be the end of the world. And lo and behold, this thing called fuel injection was invented.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of transformed how much gas we use or how much gas we were saved. It's the same thing now applied to the AI space.
Right.
We're accelerating our technologies to the degree that it's going to become better and better, to the degree that it's snowballing.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of time where it's going to be even a lot cheaper than what it is now. It's going to be part of everything, right? So.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's snowballing. Another AI news here. It's going to be snowballing all the way to the U.S. Air Force. I'm going to skip over to an article here that also kind of made me quake in my boots here. There's an article from the AP, guys, that is about artificial intelligence fighter jets being introduced into the U.S. The U.S. Air Force is conducting historic test flights with an F-16 fighter jet controlled by artificial intelligence rather than a human pilot. This marks a significant advancement in military aviation, surpassing even the introduction of stealth technology in the 1990s. Interesting that they mentioned the word stealth. If you've come across a 2008 or 2005 movie called Stealth, it was literally about AI fighter jets. And that didn't go well then. They're looking at operating over 1,000 unmanned AI-enabled warplanes by 2028 as part of its ambitious transition to this new technology. Anybody got concerns there, folks? Anyone? Michelle, I know this is not marketing, but I have to bring in AI news whenever I see something like this. Just got to bring it to the table, look at it for a second going, all right, are we really doing this? Are we really doing this?
How about you get your self-driving vehicles better first?
Make sure that they don't explode, right? Yeah, exactly. And the video on that page was showing, okay, well, they're training it for a couple of minutes in a particular situational analysis and turning it off. At some point in time, it's not going to let you turn it off. You realize that.
But I think the article makes a good point, though, in a sense that they are saying that if we have an adversarial country that is accelerating in AI use,
Yep.
to the degree that if there's a war with that country, we need to be able to be better prepared to fight that. And so I know it's like the AI version of the arms race, and there's a lot of political and philosophical implications there. I believe that we have to be very careful in that sense too. But at the same time, it makes sense. We want to use AI to better our war machines, but at the same time, should we even go to war? And we're going into a whole other, a whole other area that I'm not prepared to debate on. But
Right,
it's something it's very scary.
Guys, this was answered in 1983. The way you solve this problem is by showing the machines tic-tac-toe. And the machines will determine that the only way to win war is to not play.
Really? All this while, we have the answer right there.
Yeah.
War games.
Matthew
gosh.
Broderick.
Thank you, Matthew Broderick.
Figured it out for us.
All right. And one last piece of AI perspective. And this is actually a healthy, good use of AI. I just wanted to show you this. Randy Travis just released his first new song in over a decade after suffering from a stroke, which pretty much took most of his vocal range out. He actually has trained AI to be able to come up with this. Check this out.
She had eyes like diamonds, and they caught the light. Oh, but they were dark and deeper than the night. But when she'd smile, out came the sun.
Beautiful, and it sounds just like him. So his new song was made by training an AI model on past recordings to generate a voice clone. The voice clone was then layered over guide vocals provided by another singer to craft the track. So, again, the 65-year-old country music star suffered a near-fatal stroke in 2013 that severely impacted his speech. So, while we're talking about AI in the negative space, this is an incredible value to Randy Travis because he guided the entire thing, and he's communicating art in a different way from what he did originally, but still in the baseline of music. But it gave him another way to be able to demonstrate and present to an audience that was from his voice that he allowed to be trained. What an incredible opportunity for artists that do get disabled, right?
It's giving people a voice that lost their voice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conversation going on right now behind the scenes on some people saying that this is not necessarily a good thing. And I kind of agree to a degree that if you're looking at copyright infringement cases where you have people stealing other people's voices to make tracks that they did not sanction, this is different. Randy sanctioned this. In fact, the singer behind the track, I believe it was Tony Jackson, who has a voice very, very similar to Randy Travis. And Randy himself has sanctioned this entire project. And I think it's beautiful because it's giving back the voice. I mean, if you were to fight about why should exist, look at Stephen Hawking.
Right.
You know, if Stephen Hawking didn't have a voice, we probably wouldn't have a lot of the things that we have from him. So I believe this is a great advancement in AI that is going to revolutionize the music industry. And also, I think it's going to help it beyond just that. When people have the opportunity to use AI to use their voices in conversations when they haven't had voice before, or when they've lost their voice, whatever the case is.
Right.
So it's going to be a great, I think this is fantastic.
It's heartwarming to be able to see that coming use. And we have to govern it with maturity and caution, but we will not be in a world without AI. Realize that. This is going to be the foregone conclusion. We just have to give it parameters and give it value in these type of instances, right? We reported on AI being used to cure cancer, going after certain types of cancer, and these are fantastic utilizations as long as they're shepherded and they've got continued human intervention. They can't just be let to go on their own devices, so to speak. But whenever it's used by an artist like this, especially that they're sanctioning it, I think that's really, I mean, it's a space where we can grow as a society, right?
Absolutely. And the thing about also the implications of where we can take this art form to another level. If you have, a lot of people say there's music that's analog and that's true music. Well, guess what? It hasn't been analog in a long time, since synthesizers and drum machines and whatnot has been integrated into music.
Sure.
A lot of it is digital, or quote unquote AI, how you want to call it.
Right.
So I feel like it's just giving people another opportunity to take this art form to the next level. Yes, like anything, it's going to be used for bad as much as it's going to be used for good. But the good part, I think, outweighs the bad. And I think it's going to be a great format for people to express themselves. And a lot of people who, they say, for example, there was an interesting video not too long ago I was watching on Rumi Official, who's a very popular YouTuber who teaches singing and music. And he did a test with a whole bunch of popular other influencers and YouTubers in the music space, singers. And he asked them, he played two tracks, A and B. One was the real voice and the other one was AI produced voice. And he asked them if they could identify them. Now, there's a lot of many years ago where autotune was starting to be incorporated into music. You could tell that it was autotune. It sounded a little fake. But now it's gotten so good to the point where I think it was 50% of the people on that call got it right and wrong. meaning that it couldn't distinguish AI voice from real voices
Wow.
in that test. So it's becoming so good, and like there's like the breath or the simple
Yep.
stutter
Yep.
sometimes
Yep.
of words that AI is replicating the actual humanness
Humanizing it.
of
Yeah.
humanizing it, right?
Absolutely.
So I think it's a great tool. Again, philosophically, it could be used for bad as much as it could be used for good, but the good will definitely outweigh the bad. And I think it's going to give people an outlet to be more creative. It's going to bring the music and the art industry in general to the next level, just as much as it's going to help things like we're talking about cure cancer and all that. So
Mhm.
AI is going to become far more versatile than we can ever imagine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In the sake of time, we're going to skip our AI tools and put those in the newsletter. So jump into the newsletter and catch that up. I do want to make sure that we mention our continued sponsor. That's InLinks. Proud to have InLinks as a sponsor of Edge of the Web. Did you know that they have a brand new announcement of a game changer when it comes down to InLink auditing? So check this out. InLinks has been taking the SEO world by storm, offering capabilities that will save you countless hours on internal link audits. They can actually discover hidden linking opportunities. You can uncover full potential of your site's internal linking. It's a comprehensive, this is a brand new announcement. They're just rolling this out. Comprehensive link checks. They can actually verify static, internal, and outgoing links with ease. They can also look at the response codes instantly, get immediate visibility on all link statuses of 200, 300, 400, and 500 response codes. There's a one-click link cleanup. You can effortlessly remove or fix broken internal links. And there's also a seamless redirect management tool. You can redirect static links right from the dashboard. No source code changes are needed. So go over to InLinks with our show link, edgeofthewebradio.com/InLinks, INLINKS, and check out this new feature. Again, they've just rolled this out. I wanted to make sure that we told you about some new innovation over there. And that's how they know that you actually found us through the Edge as well. All right, so that being said, we got a berry blast to go through real quick. All right, a minute or less on each of these articles. Google search tests custom filters and templates. Check this out. Google's testing custom filters and predefined search filter templates. You can actually save your custom filters and reuse those filters for future searches. That's pretty cool. And there's a number of screenshots on Barry's article over at Search Engine Roundtable. It's showing up for a number of limited searchers. The filters can add specific keywords or filter using specific websites to help you better find what you're looking for, says Ben Schoon over at 9 to 5 Google. You can also set a filter to search for specific file types outside of the web pages, including PDFs, documents, spreadsheets, presentations, ebooks, as well as a number of other things, and including that different type of TLDs from a domain standpoint. So some cool stuff there, and that's that concierge factor, is that they're personalizing this. If they're giving us more and more utility on how we search, that's another factor of staying in the game regularly. Michel, did you see that article, and what were your thoughts there?
I think it's about time. A lot of times I've used search operators all the time when I use Google for research and SEO purposes. And I wished it would have a way that just use these templates over and over again, that I don't have to really type everything in or go back and change everything. And plus the fact that I have three laptops, I have my iPhone, and I have to go in and change everything, every setting, every time that I want to do a search is kind of cumbersome. So having this is amazing.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Cool tool there. Google search tests showing only local listings for near me queries. Here's another article from Search Engine Roundtable, is that they're seeing in the wild a number of tests where anytime that you're putting the near me parameter, all you're seeing in the search engine result page is local results. And that's incredibly valuable. But it's also a good deal different than what we've seen over the past years, where it has been a mashup of local results as well as national competitors in that local space. So they're breaking it for near me queries. I mean, it's pretty powerful what they're doing there. I can't replicate it myself. However, Gagan Gotra posted on X, the near me queries, Google is testing not showing up any blue links on the first page, just listing business profiles. Whoa, that's actually even more serious, is that is just Google business profiles as well. So Barry wasn't able to actually duplicate that, but that's a powerful test right there. Michel?
And if you have a dentist or a plumber or a contractor renaming themselves near me, I'm going to go over there personally and hit you over the head.
Exactly.
Well, there goes the new name for this company.
Yeah, we were actually going through a rebrand.
Near Me Marketing.
Darn it. All right. All right, last article for this show here today, and I had to leave on a high note here. It kind of had me
I'm
pissed
going to
off.
throw a flag on the play here before I pull up this screenshot.
The hero
Shame
image is
on you, Barry. I'm going to let you read the headline, and then I'm going to share the screenshot.
For everybody who's listening to the podcast, you got to go over to the YouTube channel.
Shame
watch
on
this.
you, Barry.
I love
Or congrats.
Yep. Google's SGE says drink urine to pass kidney stones quickly. Yes, the screenshot is
Oh my God.
it's a Google logo covered in yellow fluid. I'll just put it at that.
It's paint.
That's
but
paint.
Good Lord.
So the new AI advanced version of Google Search, Google SGE, or Search Generative Experience, provides wicked smart AI answers, he says. But there's been a mess here recently, and he saw this response shared by X on Drill, and a hat tip to iPool Rank as well. Looking at this is if you search how to pass kidney stones, the answer was, I'll read this verbatim, drinking plenty of fluids such as water, ginger ale, lemon lime soda, or fruit juice can help pass kidney stones more quickly. You should aim to drink at least 2 quarts, 2 liters of urine every 24 hours, and your urine should be light in color. Okay. What could go wrong? What could go wrong in AI? Well, I'll tell you right there, especially with the YMYL space, what we've been in since 2018, what the hell is Google doing allowing something like this out in the wild?
Yeah, I think SGE needs a medic update.
Absolutely.
Do
Oh
not
my
try this
gosh.
at home or anywhere.
And Drill says, perfect, ready to go, ship it out.
Wow.
Did you see the new ad for quality raters guidelines? They're actually looking for people with an MD.
Hey, we might want to have you go have a look at something here, because surely it pissed somebody off. All
I have
right.
a feeling if you follow this advice, it will not be light in color.
No,
But I'm not going to be the one that tries it out. So
we are not recommending that. Neither is Barry. Evidently, Google's SGE is. So be wary of generative experience answers. I'm just saying there.
Yeah.
All right. So, Michel, thank you for your time on the show here today. Is there anything that we can promote for you before we sign off?
Well, before we do, I want to share a little something with you. Whenever you were mentioning your Site Strategics ad earlier, I was going to say, I have perplexity, and I decided, I'm going to try this. Why is Aaron Sparks so intelligent?
Oh, my.
And it says here, Sparks' intelligence likely stems from his extensive experience, continuous learning from industry experts, and his ability to adapt and implement effective digital marketing tactics. And I'm not kidding. I tried it.
Wow.
I thought that was very interesting. And it actually gave me the links from which it pulled this information from, the sources, which is one of the reasons why I love Perplexity. It's a great tool for research. But that being said, I kind of appreciate it to be in that realm. So I want to thank you so much for having me in.
More than welcome. More than welcome.
Can we get Perplexity on the show?
We really do need to. I'm Perplexity. I'm your biggest fan. I was just worried whether or not you're going to pull up the Aaron E. Sparks from Vanderbilt. She's a noted scientist, and if you would have pulled her information up, I would have just pulled your plug. I'm just saying.
It said here, and as the intro, that Aaron Sparks is an accomplished digital marketer and podcaster known for his expertise in SEO on his omnichannel marketing strategies with over 23 years of experience in web technology, including 17 in search engine optimization.
Huh.
So I knew I had the right person.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
That shows that our optimization is at least covering
Yeah.
the spots there. Fantastic.
There we go.
Yeah, and one of the tools we were going to talk about was Perplexity. There's an iOS, and I think you're using it right there. Very cool.
That's why I had it ready, because I wanted to show short of being Mordy 2.0 for me. So
Fantastic. Well, Michel, it's always a pleasure, and we'd love to have you back again on the show. Going over the
Thank
news
you.
as well as interviews. Check out Michel's 2-part interview segments, part 1 as well as part 2 that just recently dropped, and let him know how he did on the show and give us a review as well. We'd love to have a 5-star review on that episode especially. So thank you so much for jumping in today, Michel, and it's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
More than welcome. More than welcome. That's it for The Edge this week. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and be able to see some of the nuggets that we're moving through the system, as well as go over to ratethispodcast.com/edge today and let us know how we did by giving us a 5-star review, if possible. If it's a 1-star, go over to look up SEO Rant and give them a review. From all of us over at Edge, stay safe, stay well, and do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.